Hello YouTube! Today in the Naughty Librarian I'm going over my end of March TBR list. So this end of March I finished my TBR, I read all of the books on it, and then I had a bunch of extra time, so I just read a bunch of extra stuff. And I'll be honest, almost all of them were in the romance genre, but like different subgenres within, and then one of them I DNF'd again. 2 DNFs this month. It was a rough month reading-wise, maybe. So the first category here is romance from my official TBR list, and I read both of them. Let's start things off with The Worst Duke in the World by Lisa Byrne. In the end, I think I gave this 2.5 stars. I am disappointed. Here's the deal, like I think if you like witty banter, there's banter all over this book. It's just all banter. And you might want something with very mildly spicy, like this is probably the book for you. For me, like I'm a spicy lady, so like there actually isn't any smut in this book really. There is some kissing scenes and then that's kind of it, and everything else is kind of closed door. Again, I was very disappointed in it, but if you like that, then it's perfect for you. This is Anthony and Jane. Anthony, he's a duke, maybe the worst duke in the world, because he doesn't really care about doing fancy pants stuff. He just wants to be a good dad. He wants to like go and hang out he's very outdoorsy. He has a giant pig he calls Duchess. Knowing that, you can probably imagine how his marriage was previous to now, because he's a widow and it was not a good marriage at all. So I don't think he's very unhappily a widow. And, you know, he just wants to be a good dad and hang out with his son and his pig. He's doing his own thing, you know? And then you have Miss Jane, and she is like a long-lost relation to this family, the Penhallows, who are like the Bridgertons or something. They're like that family. And she is like a long-lost relative, and she comes and like they like take her in. And Jane and him like kind of fall in love through sheer awkwardness. There's just so much awkward banter here. Like he's trying to compliment her. He's like, I like your boots. So she's like, my boots? And he's like, yeah, you know, they're dirty. So like just awkward banter. One more like interesting thing about the book, which also might be the reason why it's so mildly spicy, is because neither of these characters are very sexually experienced. Like he's like in his 30s and he was married, but like he had only ever been with his wife before, and he hasn't been with anyone else, and like that was a bad marriage. I think he talked about like the marital duties once. He's like, we both just wanted it to be over as quick as possible. None of us were enjoying this. So I think they had the relations enough to make a son, and then they just stopped. So he doesn't have a ton of sexual experience and she doesn't have any either. So it's kind of two like awkward virgins trying to flirt. However, neither of them are actually virgins, but whatever. So it has its moments that I thought were fun, but like overall, it's not that strong of a romance or a story. Things just like happened too quickly and didn't go anywhere. So like, it has its moments, but it's not fantastic. I ended up rounding up to 3, so there's that. I also read Deadlock by Cherry Lynn, and the thing is, I don't really read very much, if any, romantic suspense. It's just like not my vibe. I enjoy them. It's like, you know, I kind of rate them on the barometer of like, if this was like a shitty action movie, would I have hated it? I think that's the right barometer to use. And like, frankly, if it was a shitty action movie, like I probably wouldn't have hated it. I wouldn't have think it's very good though. It's not like that strong of a plot. There's like plot holes everywhere and it's like silly, but it was fine. I think I gave it like 3 stars. It's average. It's fine. I don't really know what the bar is in rating romantic suspense because I don't read much of it, but it's fine. We're following Lindsay, right? She is like a computer programmer lady, and her sister, her twin sister, goes missing, and she gets this cryptic text from her saying, hey, go find Jace. Now, Jace is a guy from both of their pasts. They met him when they were going to MIT. Basically, the twin, Lena, got him kicked out of MIT. They are not on good speaking terms, so Lindsay's like, I don't know if I should go visit this guy, but okay. And she goes, and he's like elite army hacker guy. And I think this is the first book of this series, and like they don't do really any backstory there to understand what this group is, what do they do, why are they hacking things. Like it's very broad you know, I do computer stuff and I used to be in the army and now I do this and I'm a guy. And so he doesn't really want to help her because Lena, you know, she got him kicked out of MIT. And eventually he's like, all right, fine. And then they have to solve the mystery, what happened to Lena. And, you know, they kind of get together and it's like sloppy, I would say. It's very sloppy, but like, I think it had okay, like moments of peril and like action bits. And it was fine, I guess. 2.5 to 3 stars. It's somewhere in there, it's fine. Whatever. Now the next category is my DNF section because it was one of the books on my official TBR. And unfortunately, that was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I know, just wait, okay? Everyone was probably very upset with me right now because I know this book is like thought of as like amazing, but like, oh my gosh, it was unreadable. I read like 100 pages of this thing and like, frankly, I couldn't tell you what happened. It's like, I think it went so far into whimsical, lyrical fantasy stuff that like it forgot it needs to tell a story. It's all non-linear and very repetitive, and I don't like the writing style. Every chapter that takes place in the present starts with the words Zachary Ezra Rollins, which is the main character. It just keeps saying that at the beginning of every chapter, and I'm like, this is getting old, and I haven't read that many chapters yet. So Zachary Ezra Rollins, I guess he's like a young studying student guy, and he gets this library book that has his past in it. He's like, this is a book about me, this is weird, there's no record of it being in the library. And I don't know, I think there's something about like secret librarians in the world and he's trying to find them. I don't know, I only read like 100 pages of this. I don't really know what's happening. That's all I have inferred of it, which sounds cool. But mind you, it's so non-linear and it goes back and forth to other stories that have nothing to do with this plot. I'm assuming eventually they will, but they're just a bunch of random other little like stories, like fairy tales thrown in here. And I don't like the writing style. I don't get any sense of who Zachary Ezra Rollins is. Like, his character is not being built. He's just a guy doing stuff. Like, I want to feel things for him and I get no feelings. It's like a Christopher Nolan movie, you know, those movies don't really have any feelings in them. People just talk about having feelings. So it felt like that. I don't know. I know people love it, and it does have some good lines in it, but like, oh gosh, like I can't be confused for like 300 to 400 more pages of this. I just couldn't do it. So I decided for my own peace of mind, I was gonna stop reading it. So I tried and I DNF'd. I know, you're all probably disappointed in me, but it's okay. We're gonna get through this together. Next category is everything that wasn't on my TBR list that I added to reading in March. Let's start off with a fantasy romance, which is Protect the Prince by Jennifer Estep. This is the sequel to Kill the Queen, which I read in the beginning of the month, and then I asked my patrons, hey, what book should I read next? And this one won, so I was like, all right, decision made, I'm gonna read this one. And you know what? It's fun. I had a good time with it. I ended up giving it 4 stars because it's just for pure fun reasons. Like, is it incredible? Like, no. However, it satisfies all of my fantasy romance cravings. It's fun. There's like great action in it. I was pleasantly surprised at the end because I thought there was going to be like no romantic developments in this book, and I was about to be very upset, and then they just threw in a big one at the end. So I was like, oh shit, now I need to read the next book of this series. Basically, we're continuing on the story from the first book, Kill the Queen, where we're following Evie. She is, spoiler alert, now the queen of this country because she killed the last one. And she has to go, you know, mend relations with other countries. And she also has a romantic interest where there's drama and they can't be together, but they want to be together. Will they get together? Probably, but it's taking too long, essentially. And basically everyone's trying to kill her. There's like several assassination attempts in this book. And she has to protect a prince because if he dies, shit will go very sideways. So there's a lot going on here. It's kind of our plucky heroes from the first book continuing on to a new adventure. And, you know, it's fun. I liked it. It was a fun read. I read it very quickly. It's easy, it's quick, and it's fun, and it's got magic and romance. Like, it's got everything I want. It fully satisfied my fantasy romance craving. As for contemporary romance, I read Happy Endings by Thien Kim Lam. And you know what? I'll give it like 4.25 stars. Like, I really had a good time with this. So this is about Trixie and Andre. So they both knew each other back in New Orleans a few years ago. They were like in a relationship. Andre dumped Trixie on a post-it note. Already not the greatest of setups for a new romance. Cut to now, it's been a few years after that breakup. Trixie has moved to the Washington, D.C. area, and her job is selling sex toys. So, you know, happy endings, ha 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 ha. But yeah, she sells dildos for a living. And one day she's having like a pop-up event in this soul food restaurant. And wouldn't you know who owns that soul food restaurant? Andre. So, oh no, they're in each other's paths again. And Andre, he's trying to save his, business from gentrification and being closed down. And Trixie is trying to, get her, business really off the ground so, her parents will be proud of her. They both have something they're trying to do, and it seems like both of those align with each other. They can both help each other out. They're like, okay, it'll be strictly business. And then, kind of immediately it becomes strictly dickly. So, yeah, they just start like getting together immediately. Like, this one is spicy, I would say. It's not like all the time smut, but they're good scenes. She sells dildos for a living. Like, she knows what she's doing. And I'm like, all right, this was fancy. I liked it. Good spice. I ended up not giving it a full 5 stars because there's some parts of the story that are just like maybe a little repetitive. It's just like, yeah, we get it. You have history. You're either going to get over it or you're not. And like, just keep rehashing the same problems over and over again. That was just like a little broken record-y. So I couldn't give it a full 5, but you know what? I had a great time with this. I highly recommend reading it. If you want something light and fluffy and spicy, like, this will be your jam. Last up, I have Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. And I hadn't read anything by Nisha Sharma before, but I was very, very excited to read this one. And I just loved it. I think I gave it 5 stars. I had so much fun. We're following Karina. She is a young Daisy woman, and she is, trying to find love at 30. And she's not always having the best luck with it. And one night she meets this guy at a bar, and his name is Prem. And she's like, oh, this guy is hot. Things kind of go poorly though, and wouldn't you know, this guy that she met at the bar is actually Dr. Dill, who is like a TV personality doctor kind of thing. And they end up getting into a huge fight. I think she calls him a Daisy fuckboy, and it goes viral. So he's trying to start like a clinic, and he needs funding. He loses his funding because everyone thinks he's a Daisy fuckboy. And she's trying to get married because if she does, her dad will let her buy the house that he's gonna sell. So it's like a whole thing, and they end up kind of fake dating through auntie insistence. And it's definitely like a enemies to lovers romance, but I do like the chemistry they have. Like, the chemistry is just on point in this book. You get it immediately. There's all the sexual tension. There's all like the camaraderie that you get in an enemies to lovers romance, which sounds odd, but like, I think it makes sense. And I just really enjoyed it. It was a fun ride to the end. Spicy. I wouldn't say it's the spiciest, but it's pretty spicy. I enjoyed it. It has good smut times in it. There's laugh out loud funny moments. Like, I tabbed a couple lines because I laughed out loud with them. So yeah, it was great. Also, they talk so much about Indian food, and it just made me want Indian food so bad. So if you're like me and like you read a book that has tons of like a particular food in it and you just get a mad craving, be warned, you're gonna want Indian food. But yeah, I had a great time with this. I loved it, and it's very culturally immersive, and obviously it's not my culture, but like, I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. I thought it was really great. All right, so that wraps up March for me. I think I ended up reading like 13 books, which is insane. I just was a little reading machine this month. Let me know in the comments down below, what was your favorite thing you read in March? Or hey, did you DNF something in March? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. Also, if you want more exclusive content, you can join my Patreon. The link is in the description down below. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!